And so go back to your 8 phases for a second and think about, how can we take each of those phases? That's, as an owner, what we should be thinking about is, how do I take each of these phases and inject humanity into these phases, right?
So true. So true. Yeah. And this stuff, when we look at it from that lens, the answers become quite easy, in my opinion. I think as business owners and business leaders, often we're operating with limited and imperfect information. We're trying to make our best possible guess with the cards that we can see, knowing that there's a huge stack of cards that we can't see, and those are going to be played next. We have no idea. So let's look, for example, at that assess phase. That very first stage where they're kind of checking it out, trying to decide if they want to work, going through your interview process. How can we bring more humanity? Well, why not let them know how long it's going to be? Why not tell a candidate, hey, from the time you apply to the time we make a decision on whether we're going to hire you is 3 weeks. No longer, no shorter. It's 3 weeks. And then hold yourself to that standard. Why, when someone applies, do we not acknowledge receipt of their resume and application? So many businesses we submit, and then what do we do? And we have been in their shoes. Almost everybody listening has been in the shoes of applying for something or putting something out there and then wondering, did they get it? I'm not sure if they got it. Should I ask again? Oh, would it be weird if I asked again? Better not ask again. I'm not sure. Maybe my phone isn't working. What about my email? Somebody call my phone. Make sure my phone's working, because I'm not exactly sure. Our minds play all kinds of tricks on. We know this is happening with our candidates. So why aren't we more forthright? Why not say to them, hey, our internal policy was that we wanted to have at least 3 candidates before we made a decision. We've had 2. We're waiting on a 3rd. We're not sure who that is, but we're waiting to see. Now, I understand you may not want to say that. I also understand that may be a pretty ridiculous rule and policy to have operating in your business, but you've just shared with the person that, number one, they haven't risen the level to be accepted and offered the job immediately. Number 2, you're an organization that operates based on rules and timelines. Either they're going to like that or not like that, but at least they know the criteria by which they're being evaluated. This applies at any phase. How can we make the first day more enjoyable? How can we make it more human? Well, lots of people show up for the first day of work knowing none of their coworkers. So what are we going to do? I got an idea. Let's walk them around the office and introduce them to everyone and overwhelm them with 50 names. No, don't do that. I understand that's your instinct, but let me take you in an overwhelmed, anxious state and plow you in front of 15 people so that you can meet all of them. What? No, not a good choice. Maybe what you do is say, hey, today we're going to be focused on having you interact with and meet with the 2 people who you're going to be working with the most. Tomorrow, we'll introduce you to the rest of the company. But today, these are the only 2 people you need to know. I'm the head of HR. This is your direct manager. We're spending the day with you. Totally different conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's focused on humanity.
Love it. We just brought in an intern a week and a half ago, not even. So first day, we made sure we had I emailed them and said, breakfast sandwich or bagel and cream cheese. And, made the breakfast sandwich for him myself rather than going out and getting it.
Oh, nice.
And, so it's like, I hear what you're saying, and it just resonates. And it's probably because I read, How to Never Lose a Customer Again, and, other things like that I can relate to these pieces. We did Zoom meetings. We have, not all of our employees are in the office. So it's like, you know what? Meet with Alex. That's the name of the intern for, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and just tell him what you do. Don't worry about asking him anything else. Just say, here's what I like about working here. Here's what I don't like working about here. You give them the ins and outs and give them the lowdown so that, they have a little bit of an idea of what your position is and how you interact. And we did that over, we're a small company. So we did that over the course of 2 days, got them to, meet with everybody, and then just little by little acclimate. I love that first day. I know how important that was. So that was that one little thing that I'm like, I could do a little something there.
I love it. And here's the thing. How many people listening ever had their boss make them breakfast on their first day on the job? I'd be willing to bet less than 1%. But that might be the thing that he remembers. That might be the thing that he says, wow, they really cared early on. They were showing me that they cared. And I also love what you shared about in the conversations between the employees and the intern, the employee leading first. Here's what I do. Here's what's going on. If you go first, that opens the space. We talked about that earlier. But I also think there's such a great opportunity for everyone to be more curious than they are. Just get curious. Ask better questions. Ask more meaningful questions. I have the glorious opportunity to be involved in a number of great mastermind groups and networking groups of folks that are just really committed to growth and learning. And I was at several of those events this past week, and it just filled me up. I was feeling excited. Well, then I ended up going to an event that let's put it this way. It's not a community that I'm part of. I was invited to go. It felt like I needed to go. So I went. And you would not believe how much we talked about the weather. And I was just like, what is actually happening here? If I was at a meteorologist convention, happy to talk about the weather. If I'm hanging out with the folks at NOAA, happy to talk about the weather. If I'm hanging out with a bunch of randos that I just met, why are we talking about the weather? The reason we're talking about the weather is no one wants to go first. No one wants to be vulnerable. No one wants to talk about the things that matter because they're like, oh, that doesn't feel appropriate or that feels like it might be pushing too much. I think most people wish they were having better conversations. So it's an opportunity for us to lead into that.